A pleasure to meet y'all at last, and welcome back to Super Fun Flying on HJN. And for this part, Season 5, I'm glad to showcase a few pieces of the Wild Edition of the Super line Elite 2.0. I mean, seriously. Any way that you look at it though, I consider this to be probably a decent subsidiary. If only they had released more blasters and would have made more original ideas, then maybe this could have gotten a lot better by any means. But this is in fact a Prospect reskin, which I've renamed to Parsonage. So when you really think about it, there's quite a lot of detail in this that I feel shouldn't be left behind. First of all, when you look at the color scheme right here, the combination of dark blue, cyan, and orange. Not too complex, but also not too simple. So it's a pretty decent start just to get to know about this sub-series. It also does have some decent ergonomics on this exact version that I got, an embedded scope, and a 4-dark capacity. It's pretty much another member of the QS4 series. It seems to be a really long-running tradition that Nerf's been doing right now. Apparently, even now, we're actually seeing a lot more of these QS4 blasters out there. Somehow, it's just getting a little ridiculous, but any way that you look at it, I'd say this line, while it did last at least, had some good intentions and had some not so spiteful outlooks. But being that this is probably a wild blaster, wouldn't it have been more appropriate to have wild colors out there like tiger stripes? Then again, the Alpha Strike series blasters were named after anything relative to zoology, or at least they used to until Nerf decided to change it up and give them names that would have been more suitable for blasters like this. I mean, tell me that is not, say, Alpha Strike. Well, then again, since the QS4 series had a lot of Alpha Strike blasters attached to them. I mean, there's the Fang QS4, Otter QS4, which this blaster sort of copied, almost completely. It just has a bit of a different design, that's all, and a different paint scheme. And not to mention, in terms of how it functions, well, it actually does a little bit smoother than any of them. So that technically makes this even better than the Fang or Otter or any other such Alpha Strike variant of the QS4 blaster lineup that currently exists. So it functions a lot better than the Otter. If you've seen Distance Gauge Part 2, then well, you'll see some of that evidence lined up. So this way, you'll be able to see for yourself that this blaster actually does a lot better than some of my other blasters that I've gotten from the QS4 blaster series that has been going on since 2019. Almost non-stop, as a matter of fact. So when discussing this blaster, at least in comparison to the others that we've gotten so far, I consider this one to be a lot better than a good majority of them. The Otter still does remain the best Alpha Strike blaster that I've had, alongside a few other picks, like the Harpy, so to speak. Nothing really much could ever come from that series. As an attempted knockoff series, as a way to mimic the competitors that they're facing against, Nerf really has made some questionable decisions in life. Over the past 15 years, we've definitely seen a lot of things happen, and it does seem that that tradition is still ongoing. But this blaster only came out a few years ago, and that's kind of a long time for Nerf to learn from their mistakes. But yet, not all mistakes are going to be learned from such a big corporation like Hasbro. At least that's how I see it. But any way that you look at it, yeah, I feel like I've overused that by now. But my point is that if you're going to make a Nerf blaster, have some originality and have better ways of distinguishing it from others. Creating a QS4 blaster seems to have gone a long way because it might have been popular the first time around, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to reproduce them like crazy, like viruses, all over the place. Yeah, that's already going too deep since we've been out of a pandemic now for some time, but you know what? Out here in the middle of 2025, we're certainly going to be going through a whole lot more, but I could sure tell you, from my own perspective, there's not a whole lot that we can do to basically stop what else could be out there. So, overall, I consider the Parsonage to be a great blaster and all, but it really did need some more originality put into it. So, there is, of course, another wild blaster out there that I will, in fact, be covering on pretty soon. So, if you want to see more of that on my channel, then make sure that you like, subscribe, comment, follow me on social media, and stay on the Hollywood side.